Have you ever wondered why certain things aren't the same when you hear about them overseas as opposed to here in the United States? Well, that's because of a lot of different factors, but mainly because there's just a very different culture in things. So I've been asked, why aren't you more excited about overseas markets, in particular Japan? Well, okay, so China real estate market. Let's quick talk about that for just a second. You got to understand that 30% of their GDP is actually in real estate, whereas in the US, it's only 17%, Japan, 11%. In China, 7% of the population owns stocks, 90% own real estate, and 20% of them own multiple homes without renting them out. Whereas in the US, 53% own stocks, 65% own real estate, and those that own multiple homes tend to rent them out and generate income. Those are just a couple ideas and things to keep in mind when you're thinking maybe you want to invest overseas. This is just one example of the differences in what you need to be aware of and the risks that could be out there. You also have to look at the average salary versus the average home price. You know, we complain about this, right? Especially here in South Florida, and certainly if you're in California and New York City. But actually, Beijing, China, and Shanghai and Hong Kong outpace the ratio between the average salary versus average home price in Tokyo, London, New York City, and San Francisco by over 4 times. So this is just some of the things that we look at when we're looking at whether or not to invest overseas. And right now, if you remember back to 2007, 2008 here in the United States and the real estate crisis, and again, I go back to the statistic that I mentioned before. In China, the real estate market makes up 30% of GDP, and in the US, 17% of GDP. Well, in China right now, we're seeing a real estate crisis far in excess of what we saw in 2007 and 2008 here in the United States, except for the fact that there's 30% of their GDP. So they've got a real problem here. And that's why we are not particularly excited about China right now. So I hope that's helpful. Again, this is not investment advice. This is John Browning from Guardian Rock Wealth at guardianrockwealth.com. I hope this was helpful. And if you'd like more information, reach out to us again at guardianrockwealth.com or by texting the word life to 321-421-5213. We'll talk to you soon.